Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Kevin Kiley just lays the hammer down on that rascal Jamie Raskin in front of the rest of Congress during this hot and heated debate. Let's dive in.
We're getting reports from California, Texas, New Mexico that entire farms are shut down because there have been ICE raids. The other workers are afraid to come to work, and they're begging the president to do something. He said we would stop doing that. Then they reversed it, I think, when Stephen Miller got involved, and now the agriculture interests again are getting involved. They should get the policy together. But it speaks to an underlying problem here, which is that the overwhelming number of arrests now are not of people who are criminal suspects for anything. 65% of the people who've been taken by ICE since this administration began had no criminal convictions at all. And that's why you read articles like in the Wall Street Journal about small rural towns that voted for Donald Trump that are up in arms, that are in an uproar because people who have done nothing wrong and are pillars of the community are being taken away from their workplaces, their farms, their restaurants, their businesses, in their homes. I'd also would like to ask the distinguished gentleman from California, whom I know to be a serious student of the law because he was a student of mine of the law when we were at Yale Law School together. What authorizes the government to send people out who are not identified with any law enforcement insignia, masked in unmarked cars, to arrest people? Doesn't that set the people up for danger in America? That's what the assassins in Minnesota were doing. They showed up dressed like some kind of vague, like police person without any law enforcement insignia in an unmarked car. That sets us up for danger. Don't you think that the law enforcement norm is for people to know who police officers are so that they know they have to submit to their authority? I would happily yield I'll reserve and see whether my colleague would like to answer the question.
The gentleman from Maryland reserves. The gentleman from California is recognized.
Well, if it's true that law enforcement is somehow never allowed to be in something other than their uniform, I think you have a lot of people who got tickets for running a stop sign when there was an unmarked car there who would be happy to hear that because they have now a new basis to challenge that. I think we are all aware that there are circumstances like when someone is undercover, when they're doing a stakeout, in which it doesn't make sense to identify yourself as an officer. Now, of course, that's neither here nor there because we've seen that in these very targeted operations, these folks are very clearly identified. And to the extent that some have chosen to not have their faces revealed, it's because we have seen the threats against ICE absolutely skyrocket over the last several months. And it's, again, quite ironic when you had folks on that side of the aisle who were all about masks in the most absurd of settings during the COVID years. We'd have people playing singles tennis or out on the ocean paddleboarding, and they're required to wear a mask. You'd have 2-year-olds having to wear masks all day when no other countries, did this. And yet now, when a federal officer undertaking dangerous activity, trying to do their jobs, yet facing threats, being doxxed, feeling like they and their family are at risk, chooses to take this protective measure, now you have a problem with it? Mr. Speaker, what happened in LA put on stark display years of reckless and failed policies, starting with the millions of people who came across the border illegally during the Biden years, and then the sanctuary policies that California has enacted, not to mention the countless people who have been released from prison early thanks to reckless crime policies. But today's resolution is not about any of that. Today's resolution is about something much simpler, a notion that I would hope would be unobjectionable, that in this country, we settle our differences through reasoned arguments and debate, not through force and violence, that we make political decisions through elections and not through riots.
I think that's a very good idea. Don't y'all think that that's just a normal common sense thing? That we have our voices heard through elections and maybe some protests, not by riots and cornering policemen under underpasses, throwing rocks and other bricks at them? I don't think that's a really good message to be sending the American people, hence the need for this resolution. All this resolution said is that we condemn the violence in Los Angeles. And yet, people like Jamie Raskin have the gall to go out there and talk about, oh, it's terrible that all these farms have shut down. Isn't it awful? Jamie Raskin is also the same dude who had the gall to say that Abreu Garcia was indeed a Maryland man. No, he illegally entered our country in 2011. Hey, y'all. Think the system's broken? You're right. It's not broken. It's designed that way. Central banks, surveillance currency, social credit scores? It's as if the feds want total control, and the last phase, going cashless. That's why physical silver, not ETFs, not crypto, might be your ticket out. It's untrackable, uninflatable, and it's used in everything from electronics to medicine. But more than that, it's freedom. Every ounce that you own could be a vote against the system. No passwords, no blackouts, no third-party access. The same governments that tell you that owning gold is outdated, yeah, they're hoarding it by the ton. So ask yourself, why? Physical gold, real silver, it's not just money. I believe it's an act of resistance. So to help you learn more about owning physical gold and silver, we have partnered with a great company, Goldco, which supports this channel, which we deeply appreciate. And you can find out how you may qualify for free silver. Check out PolitibralGold.com for more info. That's PolitibralGold.com. Again, we've beaten that horse absolutely to death, and dealing with Jamie Raskin makes me a little bit more mad every time I see the dude. There's just something that gets slimier and slimier about him, and maybe it's because he's realized that being from Maryland, he gets insulated from all these other problems. His district is just on the edge of the Beltway, which is sort of the, in Atlanta we call it the perimeter, but it's the, I think it's 495. That's the interstate that surrounds Washington, D.C., in Northern Virginia and in Maryland. And his district borders a big chunk of that. And so he's insulated from these real problems that are actually happening out on our West Coast, where we have an issue with illegal immigration soaking up a lot of jobs through lower paid wages, through different farming methods, different sources of labor. These illegal immigrant hubs, for lack of a better phrase, has just been something that, well, guess what? It's illegal. It is illegal labor. And ICE has the authority to go in there and deport people who are here illegally. That is by definition their crime, and this is by definition the process. If they have committed a crime, an extra crime on top of everything else, then they get their court date. Then they get a lawyer. Then they're going to get tried. But the reality is, ladies and gentlemen, a whole lot of these people are smart enough not to commit crimes. Other than, the one of illegally entering the country. They want to keep their heads down. They want to keep a low profile. And while I appreciate that, you jump the line. All right? It's really that simple. And so, because of people like Jamie Raskin, because of the radicals that are on the left, because he is soft projecting the idea of, oh, this is so terrible, when the more militant wing of the Democrat Party has been foaming at the mouth rabid about this entire issue, it's become now an issue to the point of there is an increased amount of risk for these ICE agents. This is from Fox News. Department of Homeland Security recorded 10 assault events from January 21, 2024 to June 30th, 2024. From the day after Donald Trump took office earlier this year until Monday, the department recorded 79 assault events, representing a 690% increase year over year. Oh boy, that's a big jump. And you wonder, where does that jump come from? And you wonder why there's been not one but two ambushes set up in the state of Texas over these issues. You wonder why the violence has gotten bad. You wonder why there's a representative out in New Jersey, Representative McIver, I believe is her name, got really physical with a federal agent because they wanted to storm an ICE facility in New Jersey. There's an entire wing of the Democrat Party that just keeps on squawking about this to the point where they're pushing their own people into a no-win situation. But the reality is, you don't target these ICE agents. They are doing their jobs as set up by Congress and as authorized by the president. And instead, Jamie Raskin is out here talking about closed farms. I'm sorry, but that sounds like a hit dog barking. That sounds to me like you know there's an issue and you refuse to do anything about it. As a matter of fact, it goes against your Constitution. Not the one that you put your, you swore to upheld. You put your right hand over whatever holy book. Sorry, you put your left hand on a holy book, right hand up. No, I'm getting it backwards. I'm getting dyslexic for a moment. Regardless, you swore to uphold the Constitution for your oath of office. But your own Constitution, your own individual one, that's the one that you seem just hell-bent on disregarding. And you're putting your own personal one above the country's. That's a certain kind of selfishness that has no place. That's a certain kind of ridiculousness that needs to be put aside. That is essentially your own ego screaming at you that you, Mr. Raskin, think that you're more important than all the other members. You think you're more important than American labor. You think you're more important than the laws that have been passed. And you're more important than your own abilities to pass other pieces of legislation in the future. That's kind of disgusting. And Kevin Kiley is right, and also him being from California, I think he has a bit of his finger on the pulse a little bit better than Jamie Raskin. Because he has seen, and in my own young life, I've seen the impact of illegal immigration. Whatever you do, don't look up what happens in Dalton, Georgia. As a matter of fact, there's a whole ring in North Georgia. Well, sort of ring. It's sort of this long arc of chicken producers, poultry producers, and of course, the corporate capital of the world. Don't look up the amount of people that are here less than legally working at lower wage jobs. That's the reality of illegal immigration. It's not fair to them because they're not getting paid a fair wage. It's not fair to Americans because we've essentially been priced out from the opposite direction of these jobs. And it's not fair just in general to the ideas of our laws set forth in our Constitution and by our own Congress. Jamie Raskin has lost the plot. Meanwhile, Kevin Kiley actually seems to understand it. But folks, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. My name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. And until then, y'all have a good one.